What up, everybody? This is RBT coming at you with my 2012 Alabama Crimson Tide type season preview, schedule prediction, players to watch, stuff like that. I'm gonna go ahead and predict like what I think is gonna come out of the schedule and stuff. Yes, I do have Alabama with one loss this year, and the one loss in the schedule will surprise you, and you may not all agree with it, but that's what I think. Um, like I just have this feeling that we're gonna have one loss this year. I don't know. Well, I predicted where it's going to be, but I'm not really sure. And where I predicted our losses is my best guess, because after the Tyrann Mathieu kick of the team thing, I do not see us losing to LSU. Everybody's giving Arkansas so much hype, but Arkansas, I mean, we've handled Arkansas throughout their most talented teams the last few years, and they lost their head coach who ran their offense and groomed their quarterbacks, and he's not there anymore. Yes, they returned Niles Davis and Tyler Wilson, but a big thing with Arkansas in the last few years is they've always had really talented receivers, and they lost, I think, 3 starting receivers last year. So I just don't see Arkansas, given their past against us, having really any type of chance of winning this game against us this year. Yes, they may give us some fits, but I do not see them winning. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm gonna go ahead and predict the schedule first, and then I have some other stuff to talk about after the video. I'm not gonna try to drag this on too long, but I'm just gonna get to the point. First game, Michigan Wolverines. I know I already made my hate video for that, and I might make another one like I promised in the next week or so. I have us winning this game 28-17. I know I said in my other video by 2 or more touchdowns, but I reassessed it some more, and I do think Denard Robinson is a really explosive player, don't get me wrong. I don't think he'll be able to throw on us at all, but I do believe with our inexperienced defense, it'll take us a few games to settle in. And I think Denard Robinson does get away for a run or two and score 17 points against us. And on Michigan's side of the ball, the Big Ten is traditionally a slow conference, and they're bigger, but once they have the rock pounded on them, they shut down, and that's a traditional Big Ten defense. And you saw that last year with Monte Ball and Wisconsin. They just pounded the rock, and they just went through the Big Ten, just creamed just about everybody, and had a few tough losses. But I believe we win this game 28-17. I'm not scared really at all. I think Denard Robinson does get away for a few plays because he's just really an explosive player. Second game, Western Kentucky. I have us winning this game 45-3. You probably shouldn't explain too much about this. I mean, I'm not the guy to look down on teams like this. I'm like looking at other guys in here on TTC and on websites and whatnot. They never give teams like lower teams a chance, and you gotta look at it in all kinds of different perspectives. I always have something good to say about smaller teams, but Western Kentucky, they're a Sunbelt team, and I can never really see a Sunbelt team putting up with any type of SEC team ever. So I have us winning this game 45-3. Even though Western Kentucky does have a pretty good, decent quarterback, his name is Kawan Jakes, I believe. He's a pretty good, pretty fast guy, but I just don't see him doing anything on our defense. Arkansas, 24-20. This game going our way, we win 24-20. Like I said, it kind of does scare me to a point because it's in Fayetteville. Fayetteville really has one of the loudest stadiums in the SEC. It's not really talked about, but they're a really loud stadium. And it's going to be a tough environment to play in. It'll probably be like the 2:30 CBS game or something. And I do think we struggle a little bit. It'll be hard stopping Niles Davis and Tyler Wilson, but I think it comes down to the experience at receiver and the talent at receiver. I think we have a little bit more talent at the receiver position than Arkansas does. And our defense, everybody knows our defense is going to be better, and I just think we end up winning this game 24-20. Moving on to Florida Atlantic, I have us winning this game 52-0. But like I said, I don't look down on smaller teams, but Florida Atlantic, they are probably the worst team in Division 1A football. South Alabama, Texas San Antonio, I don't know about Texas San Antonio, Texas State and UMass. Texas State, UMass, South Alabama are all better than Florida Atlantic. don't be surprised if South Alabama beats Florida Atlantic when they play them this year by 20 or more points. Florida Atlantic is just that bad, and I have us win this game 52-0. Moving on to the Ole Miss game. This is where I have us losing. I'm kidding. It's not that big as a surprise. I have us winning this game 35-7. This is Hugh Freeze's first year as head coach at Ole Miss, and I think it'll be a tough year for him. I think it'll take him a few years to get his recruiting classes in there. Houston Nutt really screwed it up for him, and I think it'll take a few years before Ole Miss at all starts to rise as a middle of the pack SEC West team, and I have us winning this game 35-7, especially with this having this game at home. So the next week we have a bye week, and thank God, because this is my senior year in high school, and that's our last homecoming, so I'll be able to go to that without having to worry about an Alabama game. Last year we had homecoming on the night of the Florida game, and that made me want to just shoot myself repeatedly 35 times in the face, but we came out with a win, so that was good. But here we go. 2 weeks after the Ole Miss game, coming off the bye week, we have to go at Missouri, playing for our first time, I think, ever playing at Missouri. And Missouri is a very, 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 very talented team. Do not sleep on Missouri at all. Missouri's first SEC game is against Georgia, and I would not be surprised at all if they beat Georgia. Missouri is like probably top 5 in the SEC, and this is the game that I have us losing. Honestly, I have us losing this game 27-24. Missouri has one of the better quarterbacks in the country, in James Franklin. He's very, very underrated, and he's going to be making some SEC defenses look silly this year. They bring back all 3 of their skill position players, or the most important skill position players to bring back. Like I said, James Franklin, their senior wide receiver TJ Moe, who's very, very good, and a senior running back Kendall Lawrence, who was really, really decent last year, very reliable, a really good running back for Missouri. They also bring back 4 or 5 offensive linemen. 3 of them are seniors. So they have a really experienced offensive line, and they have that very, very highly touted wide receiver, Dorial Green Beckham. He's not listed on the depth chart yet, but Gary Pinkel in Missouri, they have freshmen when they arrive at the bottom of the depth chart and they have to work their way up. But as talented as he is, I know he's going to be able to start game 1, and he's going to be nightmares for SEC defenses and SEC defensive coordinators for 3 years to come, because he'll probably leave his junior year. And Missouri, the worst part of the team is going to be the defense. They were not that great last year, even though they held teams like Texas to 5 points, but that's not saying much because Texas's offense was terrible last year. But they have 6 of 11 players on defense are seniors, and it's just a really experienced group. And I think like 4 out of the other 5 players are juniors that are that started last year or had playing time last year. So it's a really talented team. They bring back everybody out of their special teams, their kicker, their punt returner, their punter, everybody. So it's just going to be a really experienced team. They're very, very talented, like I said, and it's at Missouri after coming off a bye week. I think we might overlook them a little bit. And I do have us losing this game very close, 27-24. Maybe if our offensive line can beat them up enough, and our running game we can pound the rock on Missouri's defense and tire them out, we have a chance. But I have us losing this game 27-24, and that's that. Moving on to Tennessee. Tennessee is going to be a little bit better this year. They bring back the quarterback, and they're probably going to have one of the best receiving corps in the SEC. But it's going to be kind of tough because it's in Knoxville. I have us winning this game 27-17. Tennessee's not there yet. Give them a few more years, and maybe they'll be up there. Mississippi State. Mississippi State loses their best player, Vic Ballard. We're playing at home. We had no trouble with them last year, and Starkville. What the heck? How could I not think of Starkville? But we had no trouble with them last year. I don't think it's going to be any different this year. I have us winning 34-10. We're just going to pound it on them like we did last year. And they do have experienced quarterbacks, don't get me wrong. This is Chad Bumpus' last year. But with that said, I do think they scare us. Like, let's see, a good example would be the Ole Miss game last year, where we thought there was no chance we could lose. No way we could lose. And like the first play of the game, they threw a 60-yard plus touchdown. So something like that might happen, and that's really Mississippi State's best chance in this game. But I do have us winning this game 34-10. And here we go, November 3rd at LSU. Very, very scared about this game, especially more yesterday morning before I heard the news of Tyrann Mathieu getting kicked off the team. You don't understand how huge that was. He had, I think, I forget, like, was it 11 fumble recoveries? You just can't replace that. There's no way, and ever you can replace a guy like that. You can never replace a Heisman candidate on defense with 3 weeks to go. That's not going to happen. LSU's defense has to step up this year. The players that came back, Zach Mettenberger has to have a big year. Spencer Ware is going to be great. They have a really good offensive line coming back. I think all the guys from last year is coming back. But with a new quarterback that nobody really knows what to expect so far, I expect him to have a pretty good year. He has a really big arm, but let's see. But with that defense, with losing Tyrann Mathieu, I'm not as scared as I was. And I think they're beatable. I really do think they are. I think our defense it's going to be a kind of low scoring game like it was last year, not the 6-3 game like it was in Tuscaloosa. But I believe we do win this game close. I have it 17-14 Alabama. I think that Tyrann Mathieu thing is really, really going to hurt LSU this year, and maybe give them 1 to 2 losses. Whenever that second or third week comes around, I do have a big upset. Nothing Alabama related, but LSU related. I do, and I'll explain that when I come to my week. I forget what game it is, week 2 or 3 prediction video for college football. This video is probably going on forever, man. 11 minutes. It's gonna be forever. Let's see, this is week 12 or week 11. Let's see, November 10th, Texas A&M have us winning this game 41-17. Unlike Missouri, they don't give me any scares at all. This game's at home. I have a new coach who I don't think the guy's offense is going to work at all in the SEC. Kevin Sumlin. He ran the Houston offense last year. Yeah, they did beat Penn State in their bowl game, but that was Penn State after all the controversy came out. And it was a Big Ten defense, granted, who, like I said, are traditionally slow. So maybe an air raid type of offense can work against a Big Ten team every once in a while, but I don't see that working at all against SEC teams. Out of every team, well, not every team, the 2 teams that came in, I think it's going to take Texas A&M a few more years than it will Missouri to adapt completely into the SEC type of style of play. Have us winning this game 41-17. November 17th, have us beating Western Carolina 55-3 the week before Auburn. And November 24th, the week of Thanksgiving, Auburn Tigers. Have us winning this game 31-14. Nothing about Auburn scares me this year. If Kyle Frazier starts at quarterback, I see him being more of a Cody Burns type year when they tried to implement that pro style type of offense with the scrambler quarterback. And I think Cody Burns actually and honestly was a little bit better of a passer than Kyle Frazier was. But heck, how do I know? Kyle Frazier threw 2 times last year. That kind of shows you right there how good of a passer he is. They did not trust him at all to throw the football last year. So if he starts, and I think I heard of C.J. Mosley getting an injury, so I think it will be Kyle Frazier who starts. And if that's the case, I have no worries at all about this game. Have us winning this game 31-14. And God knows what bowl we'll go to if this is the actual outcome. So I'm not even going to say anything about that. Last few things, I'm going to state a few award type things that I believe will come out at the end of the season. Starting with the offensive MVP, you have to go with Eddie Lacy. We're going to have the best offensive line in the country by far next year. The only thing I think we take away from Eddie Lacy is if he splits carries with somebody like Jocelyn Fowler or T.J. Yeldon, but I do believe Eddie Lacy's going to have a really big year. Wouldn't surprise me if it ends up being all SEC and all SEC running back. I think he's going to have a really big year. Don't think he's going to be as good as Trent Richardson, but I think not many people are going to be as good as Trent Richardson was, but I believe he'll be all SEC caliber. Defensive MVP, Robert Lester. That's who I have winning this, or whatever. He led the team in interceptions last year. Last few years, he's been right up there in the lead for NCAA interceptions. He's going to be the leader of this defense. This is his 5th year here, senior red shirt. He came in the same year as Julio Jones. He's going to have a really big year, I believe. I think he's going to have I don't think you can call it a Honey Badger-esque year, but I think he's going to, for the defense to be successful, he's going to have to make a lot of turnovers and get a lot of interceptions, and he's going to lead this defense, and he's going to have a really good year, so I have him winning the defensive MVP this year. Offensive Newcomer of the Year, I have this with no doubt in my mind being Amari Cooper, the wide receiver out of Northwestern, the high school in Miami, Florida. This dude, he's very, very good, and I would not be surprised, honestly, if he has a year better than Julio Jones did his freshman year. I mean, the guy's an absolute stud. He can go up and make a catch with anybody. He needs to improve on his routes. He has great hands, better hands than Julio Jones. If he can bulk up a few pounds, he can be the best, and I mean the absolute best receiver in the SEC in a few years to come. I think he's going to have a very big year, especially with our inexperienced wide receiver, and I know for a fact he's going to start. Nick Saban has praised him 2 or 3 times already, and that is unlike Nick Saban. You never hear Nick Saban praising somebody. He didn't even praise Julio Jones as much. So when you hear Nick Saban praising a freshman, you know there's something special about him. So I have him winning the Offensive Newcomer of the Year. Defensive Newcomer of the Year, without a doubt in my mind, Deon Ballou. He's going to be our starting corner this year, and I've also heard talks about him being a punt returner. I'm not really sure if he's going to be or not. We'll know today after the scrimmage. But this guy, he's very, very good. He comes in and looks the part. He's committed to us a few years ago. He's not going to be a freshman. He's a junior. He's a JUCO transfer. But when you come in as a was he a 2 or 3 star, and he makes the number 2 JUCO player country in the country, the number 2 JUCO player in the country, Travell Dixon just quit the team and leave. That means you got to be talented, and I've heard so much good things about him, so many good things about him. And he's going to be a really good player for this year, and he's going to fill that need at corner. We lost 2 corners last year, Daquan Menzie and Drake Kirkpatrick, and I believe D. Milliner and Deon Ballou is going to do just as good as those 2 corners did. So I don't think corner is going to be a problem at all for us this year. 2 more players, or 2 more awards to name out. Who needs to step up this year? That, without a doubt in my mind, is Cade Foster. Cade Foster, if our team's going to be successful this year, this guy has to be very, very consistent in his field goal kicking. He has to be very accurate. He has to be able to kick the ball from 45 plus yards consistently, not once every 5 times. He has to be consistent. He has to be better from last year in order to be good this year. And hopefully over the last year or so, he's done whatever it takes to be able to just be an overall better kicker, and we really need that this year because with the games that we have coming up this year, 3 points is going to mean a lot. So in order for that to go our way, Cade Foster has to be good this year. In my last award, best freshman of the year, like I said, I have Amari Cooper in this too. Like I said, he's going to be a great receiver. Wouldn't surprise me. He has 800, 900 plus yards this year. He's just a great player. We'll get to see how he does in the scrimmages coming up. But like I said, Nick Saban doesn't praise a freshman 2 or 3 times without him being a good player. So that's been my season prediction. I have us going 11-1 with that loss to Missouri. I know that may come to a surprise to some of you guys, but it is what it is. This video was like 1,000,000 minutes long, 18 minutes long, but that's been my absolute total Alabama season preview. As promised, I will make a video next week for the Alabama-Michigan game coming up. That's been my preview video. I will see you guys later. This has covered everything. I'll at you later. As always, roll Tide, go Sox, and go Titans too. See you later.